Hello and welcome to the Crypto Masters podcast, helping the general public to master an understanding of crypto assets. My name is Brian McCoy.
My name is Ross Eaton.
And we are the
Crypto
Masters.
That wasn't terrible.
No, not bad for our remote synchronization. All right, let's get started on today's episode. Today's topic is IOTA. As a reminder, our goal is to provide information about crypto assets to help the public make investment decisions in the crypto space. We don't try to predict short-term price movements, so this show is not for short-term traders.
We provide information about different crypto assets to allow you, the listener, to make your own investment decision. This is not financial advice.
All right, not financial advice. Today, we got a different type of crypto coin to discuss, Ross. It is called IOTA. And its focus is the Internet of Things. So IOTA, the IoT Internet of Things, I guess Internet of Things application. Anyways, IOTA is today's topic, Ross.
Yep, and IOTA, in my opinion, it's got one of the most sophisticated ways with solving the speed issues, the decentralization issues of traditional blockchain and Bitcoin, if you will. So yeah, I'm going to dive into that a little bit later, but let's jump in, Brian. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do IOTA. So we said it focuses on the Internet of Things, which is connecting sort of machine-to-machine technologies. You think, there's a little bit of future, advances sort of here. It could be like when your car, Ross, I know you're going to be in your Tesla, and you pull up to the charging station and you don't have to do anything. All right, you charge it and the whole transaction is just taken care of machine to machine, from the Tesla to the charging pump. Any fees are just paid through there. There's a lot of these Internet of Things examples that you can think of, and that's what this coin is designed to function for.
Oh yeah, and another great example I've heard of is definitely in car manufacturing. If they're seeing if you have your car connected to the internet, and let's say it's Toyota, you're having tons of Toyotas having this check engine light for the one specific reason. They can Toyota itself can take that information and go back and say like, oh, did all these cars get produced from the same factory? Maybe this factory has a defect in one of their items on the assembly line. So it's kind of like taking their data and just consuming it and just making the world a better place.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing too, and another example, smart refrigerators we talk about now. Smart, your refrigerator can sense that you're almost out of milk. And so it can order the milk, pay for the milk, and you don't even have to do it. So when milk becomes commonly delivered, I guess, again, that can be an example of an Internet of Things.
That is a funky circle, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it used to be the milkman. Anyway, so the coin for IOTA, it can be purchased on most of your major crypto exchanges. Even here in the United States, we are able to buy IOTA fairly easily, which we can't say about all of the smaller cap coins. Not that IOTA is a small cap coin, it's top 25 market cap coin, but it's pretty easy to buy. Again, its currency is called MIOTA or MIOTA. Big difference maker for IOTA, Ross, and this is what we're going to be talking about, is that it does not have a blockchain. Does not use a blockchain, but instead uses something called the Tangle. So Ross, what the heck is the Tangle?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. We're all about the blockchain, and now we're in a way, not talking about it anymore.
It is a change. We've been talking about how revolutionary the blockchain is, and then now this makes it kind of seem like old school.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just crazy how we've seen another evolution of this thing in the cryptocurrency space. But to best explain this, I must resort to sharing my screen. So I'm going to flip over here to a lovely diagram.
Let's do it, but talk it through for our podcast listeners, though.
Of course. So I'm going to try to do, if you're on YouTube, you'll of course be seeing this live, but trying to move this out of the way here. So I'm going to do my best for non-YouTubers out there, non-people watching the video, to try to explain this for you. So first, this is the Tangle over here that IOTA is using. It's also, has a more technical term of a DAG, or DAG, also known as a Directed Acyclic Graph. So what does that mean? That sounds all fancy, right, Brian?
Yes.
So directed, you can kind of see in this image here. And really a blockchain itself is directed.
Right.
Blocks in the blockchain reference blocks before it. So in the Tangle, you can see we've now got nodes, not to be confused with mining nodes on the blockchain, but in the Tangle, we have nodes that, again, this is the directed nature of it, reference back in time to the previous nodes. The acyclic piece of it, man, I can't speak right now, is, this is not gonna, it's going in one direction, kind of, again, coming back to the directed thing. But, a new node that's going to attach on here, you can see a new tip on the diagram here is in orange, but it's not going to go back to this Genesis node, if you will.
Yeah.
It's all going kind of down the line of.
It's not going in a circle. Acyclical means non-circular.
Yep. So, and so what are the benefits of this? Yeah, the graph looks cool. It looks fancy, but what's going on here? So huge benefits on blockchain versus the Tangle or the DAG is, it's more efficient. It's said that, as more transactions occur, it gets faster. It's going to top out at some point. I think I've seen, or at least IOTA's claim they can get up to 1,000 transactions. I've seen some graphs where they kind of average around 60, but I could see as more transactions occur, this thing can speed up and handle more.
Well, yes, I've heard that as well. They say that the more transactions you get, the faster it gets and the more secure it gets.
Yep, and that comes back to, coming back to the blockchain, is it's only got one, going back to a block, it only has one block it can try to attach to, if you will. On a Tangle, it's got multiple nodes it can try to attach to and verify.
So if I can sort of describe for the podcast audience, a blockchain is linear. You got a blocks in a line, and the only way you can add to that is by add another block to the end. And so that's the way to visualize a blockchain. On the DAG, you have multiple levels, which look to me like can perhaps simultaneously attach. So you could have multiple blocks attaching at one time, and therefore you don't have the bottleneck that it looks like with a blockchain.
Yeah, that's an excellent way to put it, Brian. And in the nature of that, you don't have to wait for the previous transaction to be confirmed to attempt to attach another node.
Right. Well, let's touch on that, because the security of this system, we've talked about this before with proof of work and proof of stake. In the Tangle, a transaction has to validate two previous transactions, and then it's validated. And as I understand it, the validating the two previous transactions is sort of like a very simple puzzle. Like, in the proof of work for Bitcoin, you have an extremely complicated puzzle that takes lots and lots and lots of computer power to try to solve rapidly. But in this case, they're simple puzzles so that, for example, your whatever computer type system chip you have in your refrigerator could handle that type of a transaction. So the way it's explained is that on the DAG or on the Tangle, to be a new transaction, it has to validate two previous transactions.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so kind of segueing off of that too is in this system, there are no miners, which is kind of wild concept because, mostly we've seen, other cryptocurrencies, miners either have to do proof of work or proof of stake or use delegates. But in this system, and that's coming back to what I said is I think this is the best way so far I've seen to solve the scalability, efficiency, and speed issues is to go to a Tangle. This is just awesome stuff. I was really confused when I first saw it, but it's very cool.
And to be honest, I still am. It's very mathematically complicated. I'm not going to even pretend that I, truly understand it. But when they simplify it and boil it down to these concepts that we're discussing, you can get a handle on it, and you can see the advantages. The thing you mentioned with no miners, what goes along with that? No fees.
Yep.
So the thing about IOTA is there are no fees. Which kind of makes sense if you're going to have little micro transactions, like your refrigerator, I don't know, being charged a penny to place some order or whatever. That ain't going to work on a Bitcoin with fees, with miners who have to be paid to do this stuff. So, another benefit of this is there are no fees.
Yeah, this is, all participants in this network will just contribute, and there's no, it's awesome. It really is. And I don't know if I'm jumping in our little script here, Brian, but there is an entity right now validating transactions.
Right.
So
we're thrilled about it. You can get your graph off if you want, I think. So we're thrilled about it, but to be fair and to be neutral on this and objective, right now, okay, there is an element of centralization, right? There's to make it work this time. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to mention now. So a blockchain is subject to a 51% attack. We've talked about that before, I think. If someone can get control of 51% of the network, they could alter the transactions and have double pays and things like that. In a Tangle, it's subject to a 34% attack. And as of now, and since this project launched in 2015, they've had to use a coordinator. And the coordinator has the level of centralization to it. So what do you want to talk about the coordinator? You want me to mention kind of what the coordinator does?
Yeah. So, in the Bitcoin world, you've got, and I know the terminology, we keep switching back and forth. It gets a little confusing, but in the Bitcoin world, you have nodes, which are validating transactions that are, right now nodes are, huge mining pools or private entities that have, server farms that are just mining away. So now IOTA has a centralized coordinator just to kind of get this thing kicked off. I think that's part of it. But they do have a future goal of decentralization.
Right.
I don't know if you
Well,
want to
so now their foundation, the IOTA Foundation, runs they call it a coordinator or a COO, COO. And I guess it's sort of out there in the Tangle. It provides like trusted milestones for the transactions, and then that protects it from the attacks. And the way it's been explained is, sort of like training wheels. It provides a level of security, but and they acknowledge this, it's a central point of failure. It's a centralization that crypto is trying to get away from. And so what you mentioned, Ross, is their plan to kill it off and make it a decentralized network. And they have a name for it when they kill the coordinator, and it's called coordicide. Now, personally,
is there a favorite word for it, Brian?
I would have got, they call the coordinator the coup. I would have called it coocide.
It's gentler,
So
no R.
coordicide. Yeah, coordicide maybe. But anyway, they're going to kill the thing off, and they're planning on doing it in the first quarter of 2021. But Ross, just like everything in the crypto world or in these mathematical concepts, it's a complicated process. It's not like we're just going to suddenly kill it and it's on its own. They've got various stages they're going through. They have something called the chrysalis. So there's stages to get to the point, and hopefully for them, the first quarter of 2021, where they're going to kill this off. Then it's decentralized.
Yep, and I kind of like the strategy. I know there's some diehard people out there that are like, if I'm getting in the crypto space for decentralization, so maybe this isn't something for you right now, but they have the future goal of it. So stay tuned. And while they're in this training wheels phase, I think it's a good strategy because as issues arise or attacks happen, as we may mention a little later, they have control over it and can tweak and fix bugs. So there's that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think they're still sort of in that phase, and I think probably plan on talking about this more at the end. But yeah, they're still working out some bugs. It's a very complicated system that they're doing here, so I think some bugs should be expected. So you mentioned this before, Ross, and this is one of the big potential benefits of this system is it states that when it achieves the coordicide, it will solve the blockchain trilemma. And we've talked about this before, right? Scalability, right? Transactions per second, security, and decentralization. All three are the goal, but so far, nothing's really been able to achieve all three. So for example, we know Bitcoin, secure for sure, decentralized, absolutely, but scalability, it's got some issues. We talked about EOS. Remember EOS, it solved scalability. How did it do it? It sacrificed decentralization and has the 21 master nodes. So there's always been compromise or give and take. And now IOTA says once they commit coordicide, they will have achieved all three. And that would be something.
Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive, I gotta say.
Yeah. And one more thing, Ross, which you may want to comment on. They also say, and I've heard this many times, I don't think we've discussed it on the show before, but some blockchains, and maybe even Bitcoin, are subject to quantum computer problems. Like once quantum computers become a thing, and I understand that they're not right now, but if quantum computing were to become a thing, the speed of those would possibly present a problem for blockchain, including Bitcoin. And IOTA says it's quantum computer resistant.
Yeah. Very, very interesting stuff there. I mean, you could have one, I mean, again, it's very hard, at least right now, you know, in the near future, you know, if quantum computing is some even remotely more available. I mean, you know, some guy had one. I mean, he could just mine blocks away and pretty much take over.
Yes, that's the fear, right?
But I mean, we're heading there. We're eventually going to get there. So
And
I'm glad they're thinking ahead.
they're right. I mean, I guess that's probably true. Who knows? But you know, if it is, then you know, already to have that problem potentially solved is a great thing for crypto, frankly. All right, let me get a little bit of background here. We always like to go into some of the background stuff. We always talk about the supply, right? And the inflation rate and how much of the currency hasn't been issued yet. And so how much can, you know, the stuff that's out there be diluted? And the answer with IOTA is none. It is all completely been released. There is no more, and supposedly never will be any more IOTA issued. So we've talked about before, that's a good thing. We talked about with Bitcoin,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
very little left. I mean, 18 million plus of 21 million are already circulating. IOTA is completely out there. They started with releasing all of the IOTA. So that's kind of interesting as well. Here's something kind of interesting. They had an ICO in 2015, December of 2015. Sort of back in the days of, you know, the ICO Wild West. It was before the, you know, the real boom in 2017, 2018. But and it's German based, but it raised in its ICO. Remember we talked about EOS raised 4 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah. IOTA raised 590,000.
Oh, yeah.
So not a big ICO, but I'm told there was no pre-mining or no giving the founders, you know, tons of IOTA, whatever they bought, you know, whatever they got, they had to buy. So that's good, you know, sort of a true launch, which I appreciate. I think I mentioned its foundation is based in Germany. And Ross, we always try to talk about the team behind these projects. It's definitely something that you should look at. And I don't know, at least from our standpoint here in the US, not a lot of big names, not names that we hear a lot in the crypto world, see their names in all the crypto media, but it's definitely some guys with some industry experience. And I'm going to butcher their names, but
bring it on, Brian.
Yeah,
This is all entertainment.
Sergey Ivancheglo was a founder. A guy named Dominic Shiner, a David Sonestebo, and a Sergey Popov, who's a professor of mathematics. I'm not sure he was a founder, but he's been involved from the beginning. And I understand, I think he authored the IOTA white paper. So you've got some names there, including a professor. I think this Sonestebo is still involved, and he's published some stuff and maybe even some videos. So he's still active in it. But a little bit of drama though. Ivancheglo left last year in 2019 with some drama, some issues, some accusations, that kind of thing. So you know, not a perfect scenario, but again, nothing that is a huge red flag or anything. Now, one possible red flag, Ross, in February of 2020, there was the IOTA had a Trinity wallet and it got hacked. What do you know about that? Anything?
Yep. I mean, these guys almost had a clean report card. You know, if we'd done this a couple years ago, you know, it would be A++. But yeah, so hackers, you know, they exploited a vulnerability in the IOTA developed wallet, their Trinity desktop wallet. And IOTA had to shut down, you know, master coordinator node. They did catch it pretty quick. It was down for over a month. And this is actually the founder was on the web, was on a podcast and confirmed some of these numbers. But he's claimed he's going to pay back all the money lost. I haven't seen any report that that's been done, but he's at least claiming it. In that podcast, I can't remember what show it was on, but he was talking about, we didn't start this to make money. We just, started to, help the Internet of Things. But the hack ended up totaling in a loss of about 1.9 million across.
Not much in the big scheme, I guess.
Yeah, that's not too bad,
I mean, I don't want to give it away, but still, not.
Yeah, I mean,
not like the Mount Gox hack or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the founder is going to claim to pay back any more money if they get hacked again, but hey, if he's done it once, maybe he'll do it again. So if you feel uneasy, maybe that's something to ease your pain.
Or you could keep it on the exchange if you trust your exchange, but of course, that's a different show.
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms. So
I did notice, like you said, once we really started researching this, I became very interested in the technology, and I was trying to see if there are any other, crypto assets that use the DAG technology, and there are at least a couple. One of them I'm pretty familiar with. It's called Nano. I have a friend who's very big on Nano and is invested in Nano. It is a cryptocurrency, a pure currency, pure, Bitcoin, Litecoin competitor, but because it uses the DAG technology or some form of it, again, it has the no fees, it has the no problem with the scalability. So, that's some big positives in its, for that coin as well. It's called Nano. It's a top 60 market cap coin, right now while we're doing the show. Maybe 50 or something, I don't know. There's another one called Obite that uses the DAG technology, and it's a little lower down. I think it's a low market cap, actually. It's in like the 280s, I think, as of this show. But it sounds interesting as well. It's amazing how many cryptocurrencies are out there. But at least those are a couple that are also using the DAG. And I like to see that because, again, I will talk about this later, but I like to hedge my bets. If I'm invested a ton in blockchain assets, which I am, then, I'd like to hedge that in case there runs into problems. We'll get to this more at the end. So another thing I wanted to look at is what are IOTA's competitors on the Internet of Things, submarket or niche. And there are a couple there. These are like top 150 market cap coins. One's called Xensor, starts with an X, Xensor. There's a coin called Walton Chain, and another one called IOTA. Again, those are all in between 100 and 150 on the market cap. Smaller coins, but they're in the Internet of Things space. So it's good that there's some competition for IOTA, although, again, IOTA is a clear leader.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like Ethereum in the space that it's in.
Smart contracts, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that's just kind of interesting. It's always good to have some competitors. It's good to see some others using the DAG technology, and let's see where it goes.
Yeah. So I don't know, Brian, is it time for final thoughts? What do you think?
I think it could be. Gonna check where we are. Yeah, it's a good time for final thoughts, actually. All right, you know what, Ross? I'm gonna put you up first because you usually just jump on my coattails. I'm not gonna allow this time. I'm gonna let you go first. Final thoughts, IOTA. Thumbs up or thumbs down, and then explain.
I'm gonna do 2 thumbs up. I think it just checks all the boxes I know we both look for in cryptocurrencies. One huge one being, there's limited supply. Um, it's not decentralized, so maybe it gets I don't know, a B right now, but when it becomes decentralized, I full disclosure, I am invested in it. I'll probably be more invested in it once they have a successful decentralization or a core decide.
Yeah.
The Tangle is amazing and has me looking at other coins using the Tangle.
Yeah.
It's checked all my boxes. It makes me feel good in all sorts of ways. So.
Wow. All right.
And
Okay, my final thoughts.
I don't know. It might be one of my favorite. I might have to replace my Ethereum flag behind me.
Ooh.
But I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll see.
Ooh, can you get I'd like to see an IOTA flag. Maybe you can get one. That would be cool.
Oh, I can make it happen.
So for my final thoughts, I really like the technology behind this. And I think like you, Ross, before we started the research for this show, I didn't own any IOTA. But I will say in the time, that I've started the research, I've bought on multiple occasions just because I'm like, this is, I like this technology. Now, here's the thing. So one part of investing, for me at least, is diversification. I mean, you hear that all the time. Every investment person will tell you need to diversify. I actually think that can be taken too far, and I don't take it too far. But to some extent, it's a good thing. I sort of look like it. I think the same concept or very similar concept is hedging, right? You got to hedge some of your bets. So like I said before, I'm big time into blockchain crypto assets. So if we were to get to the point where the blockchain becomes a bottleneck or, becomes an issue because of all of it's been so widely adopted that now we're having, some problems with its speed. Okay, first of all, that's a good thing. That means we've arrived in crypto,
Yeah.
and so we're doing great. But if that happens, then some other technology is going to have to step up. And from what I can see, at least as of now, this is it. And this is great. And I will give the IOTA team a bunch of credit. They've had some issues. They sort of launched, I think, before they had all the kinks worked out. They launched in 2015. They've been working out some kinks for the past 5 years. Sort of different approach than we talked about with our Cardano, who they want to, research everything and have it fine-tuned before they release it. But it seems to me that IOTA is working out the kinks. If that DAG technology, and it's harder it's more difficult than we realize maybe and can verbalize on this core side. But if they succeed in doing that in sometime in 2021, first part of 2021, and they achieve the decentralization, then this thing will have it all. Now, I will say, I believe this is more of a longer term investment. You're going to have to be patient with this because nobody knows when Internet of Things is really going to take off. It hasn't yet. Is it coming? Yeah, I think so. But when it's going to come, I'm not sure. So when you have that, and then when you have, or if you ever have scalability problems on a wider scale due to blockchain, then this thing is really going to take off. But I see this as, yes, a long-term investment, but a good one. I'm going to start accumulating. I've started accumulating now. Full disclosure, I'm buying into IOTA. And like you said, I'm actually going to look into the smaller cap technologies that are using DAG, and see if they have something. I think I'm going to look into Nano. Maybe we'll do a show on Nano. We'll put Nano on our list. But anyway, I guess I'm going to agree with you and give IOTA 2 thumbs up. It's exciting. We've been in this crypto space for a while, Ross, and it's fun to get your hands dirty, digging in on the research on something like this and finding a real gem. I feel like we found a gem here in IOTA. And while it's still dirt cheap, start accumulating.
Oh yeah, and I'll always remember that the text when we were first talking about this, Brian, when doing our research for this episode, and I remember you said, "Yeah, I actually acquired some," and I was like, "Oh yeah, me too." I mean, it was
Yeah.
I'm just really excited about it. So yeah,
I am too. My only caution to our listeners is, and we say this every time, we're long-term investors. I do not think IOTA is going to go through the roof, in the next month. I don't know when, of course, but it could be a while. It could be a matter, of years. But I'm prepared to do that before it really takes off, because when you have the combination of the DAG technology really coming together and the Internet of Things, taking off and becoming more widespread, then this coin is in the lead to really benefit from that.
oh yeah, I'm really curious to see how it's going to start looking on Coin Market Cap after 2-3 years. I'm really curious. So.
I don't mind time accumulating. Until that happens, I'll keep accumulating. I'm happy with that.
Oh yeah.
Hey, so this was a great show, and this is what's fun about crypto is there's all kinds of different fascinating technologies, and we're going to keep bringing them to you.
Absolutely. And hey, I haven't seen many comments on our podcast. Give us some comments. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us what you like. We're making this for y'all, so let us know.
Suggest some coins. We've got a list of ones that we want to cover, but it's flexible. We can toss in some that our listeners have an interest in.
Absolutely.
All right, this has been another podcast from the Crypto Masters. Check us out again next week when we'll release another podcast where we discuss another new exciting crypto asset.
All right, everyone. See ya.
All right, take care. Next time.